Okay, let's talk about molecules and compounds for module number 17. So last time we talked about atoms and elements and how atoms come in different forms called elements. And now we're going to talk about molecules and compounds. So the substance water is not found anywhere on the periodic table. Lots of other things you might know of, like plastic, air, glass, they're also not found on the periodic table, because those are not elements. Water is a molecule and also a compound. So this is what water looks like. So water has two elements in it. It has hydrogen, which is here, and it has oxygen, which is over here. Air is another thing that we might think of as an element, but it's not. It's actually a mixture. It's a mixture of atoms, elements, molecules, and compounds. So here is a picture of what air looks like if we were able to see its atoms, elements, molecules, and compounds. So see how many different sizes and colors of different atoms there are. Some are stuck together, some are stuck together in different combinations. So this is a good example of a mixture. Okay, so what are they? Well, an atom is just a single particle. So this is an He atom. We can have an atom of any element, but it's just the one singular little building block. An element is just a type of atom. So see in this diagram, we have red, blue, purple, orange, green. These are all different elements. They can come in different sizes. They can have different properties. So an element is just a name for different types of atoms. So molecules are when we take two or more atoms and they're chemically bonded together. So that's a pretty strong bond. It's not just like mixing two things together. If you can separate them, then they're not chemically bonded together. So here is an example of an HH molecule. So this is two hydrogens chemically bonded together. Now, a compound is a type of molecule that has more than one element in it. So it can have 2 elements in it, it can have 5 elements in it, it could have 100 elements in it. I don't think there are any with 100 elements, but it could. So this is an example of a compound because it has oxygen, O, and it has hydrogen, H. So if we take more than one element and put them together that makes a compound. So this is a molecule because it's more than one atom, and it's a compound because it's also more than one element. So let's look over here. So we have single atoms, and we have a couple atoms in molecules. So molecule, molecule, molecule. And these are all compounds because they all have different colors in them. All right, so these are compounds, and they're molecules too. This is a molecule and a compound. This is a molecule and a compound. Now this down here is a mixture because we have different types of molecules mixed together, but they're not chemically connected. They're not chemically bonded. So let's do some practice in the module. In the module, we have an assignment called What's the Difference? Let's do the first one together. So your job is to identify the number of atoms, elements, molecules, and compounds. So you can count the number of atoms by counting the number of circles. Each of these circles is an atom. So I see 4 atoms. You can count the number of elements by counting the number of unique patterns. So we have checkered and striped, checkered and striped. So there's checkered and there's striped. So there are 2 elements in this diagram. This is where it starts to get tricky. So you can count the number of molecules by counting molecules that are touching, or atoms that are touching another atom. So that represents a molecule. So we have, this is one molecule, this is another molecule. So we have 2, it's groups. So we have 2 groups. Now, this one really tricks people because we're going to count some of these molecules twice because molecules can also be compounds. So you have to look at each group and ask yourself, is there more than one pattern in this group? If yes, it's a compound. So is there more than one pattern in this group? Yes, 1. Is there more than one pattern in this group? Yes, 2. So there are 2 compounds and 2 molecules. They're both molecules and compounds.